Hello to all present. I'm very glad to greet you at our press conference. Thank you that you joined us. Our press conference is in the online and hybrid regime of online-offline. Also, we perform live broadcasting at the web channel of Mark Sokolovsky YouTube channel. So please join this channel in fight for the deed of Mark Sokolovsky. Why you are gathered here today? Why Mark Sokolovsky is such a sign figure for Ukraine, not only for Ukraine, as it turned out for the USA as well, and for the Netherlands. This person 2 years ago was publicly blamed into committing the largest scale cyber crime with the submission of the prosecution, US prosecution. They named him the hacker of all times and peoples. Is it truth? Indeed. Today we tell a real story of Mark Sokolovsky as a citizen of Ukraine, who is patriot and is willing to fight for the country from Russian aggression. From the very beginning, I would like to emphasize that we, in any case, we set up accusations to the governments of the US or the Netherlands. These countries supported Ukraine and Ukrainian people during a large-scale aggression of Russia against Ukraine. We are very thankful to American and to the Dutch peoples that they are defending Ukraine from Russian aggression. They provide us opportunity to live, and they give us an opportunity to believe in our future. We will be talking about special individuals who are related to the United States or the Netherlands, who committed, in our opinion, illegal actions that led to the fact that today Mark Sokolovsky is forced to address to the public, to international mass media, to the governments of the United States and Netherlands and native Ukraine in order to seek the justice. Today with us, Mark Sokolovsky should be on this screen. The representative Mark Sokolovsky, Alena Nechaeva, addressed to the administration of Skiphol jail, penitentiary unit, where it is now, with the request to provide him an opportunity to have a say in front of people at this press conference and express his standpoint. Please pay attention that almost 2 years until now, he was accused and he was never asked his position of what's happening indeed right away. So our task today at this press conference to correct this informational disbalance, to restore the justice for Mark Sokolovsky, in order him to be heard by those individuals and mass media that disseminated hundreds and hundreds of publications against him. But none of those journalists never addressed personally to the representative of Mark Sokolovsky, to Mark Sokolovsky himself, and they did not interested in their real story. It is a pity that the administration of Skiphol penitentiary unit did not provide the opportunity to Mark to participate in this conference But before he was placed into, he was incarcerated, we recorded a video where we have his address to the President of Ukraine and to international public.
Я Марк Соковловський, громадянин України. Зараз записую цю промову в тюрмі Нідерландів за адресою Сміт 1 Зандарм. Вже у понеділок мене можуть відправити примусово до тюрми у США. Я звертаюсь до вас, Володимир Олександрович, як до першої особи нашої держави.
I'm recording this speech from the Netherlands that on Monday I may be forcibly sent to the United States. I address to you, Volodymyr Alexandrovich, as to the first person of our country as Commander-in-Chief, Supreme Commander-in-Chief and President of Ukraine, to Ukraine, Ukrainian special services and Ukrainian active public and Ukrainian mass media, because some Republican representatives accused me in the United States and state of Texas in committing unprecedented cybercrime to breaching interests of the USA. I was accused in creation of malware, raccoon, which can inflict a lot of damages all around the world to all computer users. So, and I was presented as a cyber criminal, and they disseminated a lot of untruthful information about me. Now I declare that I did not create this program, and I could not write because I am not have a knack of this computer program and computer language that this malware was created with. So other cyber teams have been inflicted damage in their cyber activities. I came to the Netherlands in order to provide to Ukraine all necessary in fight against aggressor. As a volunteer, I came to the Netherlands in September of last year in terms of purchase of bulletproof vests for Ukrainian soldiers. And the Dutch police on March 20, 2022 arrested me. All this time I am detained beyond the I am graded as a criminal, and I was banned to use internet. I was refused for just investigation and verification of my truthful words. My standpoint is not interested by anybody, and all this time the Netherlands committed psychological and physical violence against me. Didn't provide me medical aid, interpreter, and then arrested me as a person without dignity and rights. In aftermath, I deteriorated my health condition. So I request objective investigation and provision all the information which is known during all the time of detainment. The U.S. representative didn't provide any evidence. Testimony. I asked my state to give me an opportunity to come back to Ukraine to defend my country, as long as my knowledge and skills may help a lot in warfare against Russia. And this experience and skills have been evaluated by some mass media that they call me the best hacker of all times and peoples. So I can support cyber security of Ukraine, and I have skills and experience. But all addresses to the ambassador in Netherlands was in vain, so I asked Ukrainian journalists to disseminate this video. Will be published separately in YouTube channels of Mark Sokolovsky, so the world could see it and hear it, and those people to whom he addressed now. Now I would like to give floor to American barrister of Mark Sokolovsky. He is a Russian-speaking guy, but he is the citizen of United States who fully supports Ukraine against the fight in the fight against Russia, and took responsibility to support Mark Sokolovsky in the United States, regardless the pressure, information pressure, which exists in this area towards him and his colleagues. Alexei Tarasov. Esteemed representatives of mass media, I am now a barrister of Mark Sokolovsky, presently in the United States, especially in the western district of Texas, where there are very rigid rules in terms of comments that the barrister can give. So there are certain things that I would like to say, but unfortunately I can't comment in terms of all the case. But as it is well known, Mark Sokolovsky at the given time is accused by several articles, including Keyhood in computer fraud with the use of electronic means of communications, money laundering, and robbing of personal data with the consequences. In case he would be accused in full, he can have 47 years of deprivation of freedom and 5 for the word on computer fraud, and mandatory consequently 2 years term for the robbing of personal data with hard consequences, which will be added to his term. He categorically refuses this accusation, and we will be participating in this case and defending the interests of Mark Sokolovsky. There is a serious question that I would like to request you to highlight. As far as I know, you've been given answers to our barrister's request. The attempt of extradition of Mark Sokolovsky in the US, it was unsuccessful. Yes, approximately 2 weeks ago, it was expected that there will be extradition. However, it wasn't performed, and we were under the impression that Mark flew out from Netherlands, but after contact with the General Prosecution Office, we had the truth. They state there was a medical incident. In the result of this accident, the plane didn't fly out. This was the message from the Prosecutor General Office. Thank you very much indeed. It's important information because our colleagues in the Netherlands, the government and Minister of Justice answers that it's all good with Mark and the status of his health is okay for extradition at any moment. So we needed this information from you. We observe from our side situation that during 2 years, the guy is detained in the Netherlands during 2 years, and during this period of time, are there any investigative actions towards him? We don't have such information. Maybe you have. In terms of investigative actions, it's difficult to say because it's not public. That can be, in fact, mentioned that the judge who was appointed by this case, he retired, and in spring last year, if my memory serves me right, it was in May. And from May to December, we started actively to be involved in this case. Procedural actions, there were none. Thanks a lot for your speech and support of Mark Sokolovsky. So we switch to next speaker, and
Mr. Yakovlev to take the floor.
Yes, but what do you expect that I'm telling then? Because I can tell that I had my company in Kharkiv from since 2018, and Mark was my first employee in Kharkiv, and he was the leader of the team in Kharkiv. And I know Mark as a very good boy, a very good guy. I was there every month. One week I was in Kharkiv.
Скажіть, щоб він трошки повільніше говорив.
Yeah. Okay. So I had Mark was my first employee in Kharkiv, and he was the leader of the team of developers I had there, because I started with one developer, and on the end I had 10 developers, and Mark was leading the team of the developers in Kharkiv. I was there 1 week a month, 7 days from weekend to weekend to talk with the guys there. And the rest of the month, I was always in contact to software like with Microsoft Teams. I spoke every day, at least 1 hour with the guys in Kharkiv. Yes, and I know Mark as a very good and hardworking software developer who spent much more time than he needs to do on developing our software for the Netherlands. And I never seen that Mark was doing any other things than only busy with developing our software. And I think it's also impossible that he could do that in the time that I know him from 2018, because they had a very busy job. Because his job was very busy, and he needs to spend a lot of time, because we had always a lot of projects running, so they were all very busy. So, and I know people a little bit, because I had 3 companies in the Netherlands, and a lot of people were working for me. So I said, I know people very well, because I had in the Netherlands for 30 years 3 companies with a lot of people working for me. So I know what good people are and not good people. In the meantime, I sold my company, and the company is even now for 50% US company and for 50% Scandinavian company. So I'm not working anymore there. And the only thing what I see about Mark is on the internet some fancy stories from some guy from BlackBerry Security over driving expensive car and a lot of money. But Mark was only driving a car from now the value what maybe 15,000 euro. And I saw also on internet that Mark was holding a lot of money in his hand, but I have still an apartment in Kharkiv, and I bought this apartment also with cash money. So it's very normal. I was also going from the bank to the notaris with $150,000 in cash. So it's very normal. That's the way it handles in Kharkiv or in Ukraine. I saw also they found some code on the iCloud from Mark. But I think, yeah, that's, I think, very normal. Young guys experimenting a lot with all kind of things on the internet. I do this also. Sometimes I look also. I was in my company responsible for security of our systems, and I was also looking how hackers and developers are trying to hack our system. So I was also downloading some hacking software to look in the software, what they're exactly doing that and how they are doing that. So it's not strange that, that you maybe you find this same software on my computer. So, but it will not say that I'm a hacker or that I created this software, but I test also a lot of things and I try to find out how people are trying to So, and I was asking Mark also to look in security and how safe our software is. And I think he experimented a lot and to look a lot on the internet. So, and because of the guys in Kharkiv, our systems are never hacked. We have never a problem with hackers in our system because I was monitoring this 24/7 and try everything how to think, how hackers are thinking to keep our system safe. And also the software where we're talking about is made in .NET or C++, and Mark was a PHP developer, so that's a totally different language also. So I'm 100% sure that Mark was not involved what the Americans accusing him from. And for me, it's very strange that somebody can be in jail for 2 years without going to judge. And in the Netherlands, if you're killing somebody, you're not even 2 years in jail. So I don't know what if somebody has some questions for me that they know something, need to know something, or because this is my story. Because I don't know so much what US have against Mark, than that they found some software and that they are thinking that he's involved in this software, but I didn't see any proof from that. Any other questions on me?
Одне питання я хочу задати. Скажіть, будь ласка, а чи були випадки, коли ваше підприємство страждало від кібератак?
Yeah, we were a victim of a cyber attack, but on the end, it was very small. So they steal some information from a few clients, but I think it was not more than 10. We had more than 10,000 business clients in the Netherlands, and they hacked a few clients. But it was not on our side, but was on the customer sides.
А скажіть, будь ласка, а яким чином реагує поліція Нідерландів за цим кейсом? Чи вважаєте ви доцільним провести розслідування того, що відбувається з приводу кейса Марка на території Нідерландів?
I don't understand the questions. Can you repeat this question?
Я трошки переформулюю. Коли ваше підприємство було підвернуто кібератакам, чи поліція Нідерландів проводила розслідування? Чи проводила розслідування поліція Нідерландів з приводу того, що Марка звинувачують співробітника вашого підприємства у тому, що він є розробником такого вірусу?
No. Because we called to this organization who is involved in this hacking, and they said, okay, you don't need to make a case from that because it's so small, and it was not on our side of the system, but it was on the customer side of the system. So it was not involved in our system.
Я задала це питання для того, щоб проілюструвати, наскільки серйозна поліція Нідерландів ставиться до таких ситуацій. При цьому Марк Соколовський досі перебуває 2 роки під вартою за обвинуваченням.
Yes, but that's not on the request of the Dutch police, but that's on the request of the United States.
І є ще питання в нас в залі. Будь ласка.
Уточніть, пожалуйста, на якій мові працював Марк і на якій мові написаний був вірус?
The software what he was creating for us was made in PHP. That's a web language. And the virus was made, I think, in .NET or in C++. I don't know sure, but one of these languages, .NET or C. A language that Mark doesn't understand.
Дуже вам дякую за ваш виступ. Зараз до нас приєднався адвокат Марка Соколовського, який працює у Франції.
Now we have the defense attorney representing Mark Sokolovsky in France. He is representing the interest of Mark Sokolovsky in the European Court for Human Rights. And it's my honor to invite Mr. Yegor Boychenko. So hello, I am the defense attorney in the city of Strasbourg. Well, speaking about Mark Sokolovsky, this is a very delicate case from the legal point of view, but it's quite interesting at the same time. there is a very specific volume of work which requires collaboration. First of all, it is connected to the fact that geographically Mark is now in the Netherlands and the United States is requesting his extradition based on the accusations lodged against him. The situation is complex due to the fact that Mark has for quite a long time been imprisoned in incorrect conditions, in decent conditions, and from my point of view, as his defense attorney, who is in touch with his colleagues, my Dutch colleagues, from my side, there are a lot of questions regarding the conditions of incarceration Mark is held in now, and regarding the conditions on which he could be extradited now. Mark is a young gentleman, but his state, with conditions of his health, is very bad now. And from the point of view of the European Convention on Human Rights, it is required that a human should be treated with respect, no matter where he or she is held. From our point of view, he is now in a penitentiary institution waiting for his extradition. So while he is there in incarceration, the government should provide all necessary conditions for the proper sojourn of such a person in incarceration, including his medical assistant to this person, including the access to his medical records, to his medical anamnesis, and the administration of the prison and the medics available at such penitentiary institution, or medics that could be invited at external service providers if there is such a necessity for a person to be treated.
We have situation when Mark was relocated to solitary imprisonment cell. We communicate with these people in the Netherlands that are within the initiative group to fix the real status of Mark. So the problem is that to involve independent physician expert is not feasible because the administration of penitentiary facility where he is detained commits all possible impossible not to do it. So they refuse from this, and we faced that the barrister who visited Mark agreed exclusively to take a picture of him, have photo. We can see physical damage, but to fix this physical damage, the barrister refuses because he is under pressure of the legal system in the Netherlands, pressure from the side of the Minister of Justice of the Netherlands, maybe someone from the General Prosecution Office, because I cannot explain the behavior of our colleague, and unfortunately none of the advocates from the Netherlands didn't join our press conference, and they don't want to express their legal standpoint publicly. So I see that such a level of pressure. Mark is refused in transferring his claim by administration. He can make a phone call once a week to relatives, and he is warned that he should not call to external customers because he's taken his phone away. What can we do in such a situation? Whether the European Court on Human Rights can do something in such circumstances? European Court will not be doing for us nothing. He will be accepting, analyzing documents which we will prepare and submit to European Court. So, if penitentiary unit creates all the conditions, not creates but commits all possible and impossible to prohibit the visit of independent expert to Mark. In such a case, we need to provide evidence to CHR that we have done everything possible. The representative of Mark Sokolovsky, Alena Nekhaeva, for a long period of time submits such requests to the official addresses. The last response from administration of Schiphol jail was where Mark in solitary imprisonment cell. That they say that we are not obliged to provide you with response. They do not accept any claims from representative as well, and propose to them to address to some barrister who has to do it. But this advocate refuses to do it, and again, I am emphasizing that the situation is that in fact the only representative of the Netherlands of Mark is Alena Nekhaeva.
And his mother, is involved as a defense attorney for Mark in this case. She's going to take part in this session now, and she has big experience working with the. Thank you for your time, and we'll stay in touch. Yorlena. Hello, everyone. I've been sitting here and listening to the information here. I don't know what to start with. Speaking about Mark, in this case, I would like to first of all say a few things about the case with my kid. So to say, Mark went to the Netherlands for the purpose of to have negotiation about body armor, because he was right from the start of the invasion. He was involved in the supplies of military supplies for the people fighting the front lines. And in the city of Kharkiv, they had the branch office, and the said branch office was closed down, and they had to discuss the further steps of cooperation with the Netherlands, so that involved part of their team. Mark has problems with health, and therefore he had no problem crossing the border into outside of Ukraine. So he, in full compliance with the law, left the territory of Ukraine, and in 30 days he had to go back to Ukraine and continue his service for Ukraine. I wasn't going to change my ways now, and I was also involved in work, and we established very good relations, business relations, in terms of purchase of footwear and thermal detection equipment, and there was a big lack in body armor, and that's why it was decided to send Mark there. But on the 20th of March, Mark was arrested by the Dutch police in response to the extradition request by the United States, and he was incarcerated. He's been incarcerated in the Netherlands. Now, he's been in the Dutch prison in inhumane conditions for 2 years. I have been struggling to defend the legal rights of Mark, and we have had 11 defense attorneys there, and they tried to take the case first. Well, they have a different system in the Netherlands, different from what we have in Ukraine, and every lawyer in the Netherlands has his or her own scope of work that could be appealed or different sorts of legal cases. And therefore, we had to change or replace lawyers on Mark's case. I am very much worried because before I started this communication with you, I was going to give an example of what's going on with Mark, and for you to understand why I'm now in the present day condition, in my present condition. It happened on the 11th. So the extradition was slated for the 11th of January, and Mark didn't know about this because there was a criminal case pending. Yeah, in the migration service for asylum seekers. And this case had to be further continued in a way that an officer comes up to him on the 12th, and overnight from 11th to 12th he was incarcerated, and they were humiliating him in many ways possible. And they were limiting his access to things he needed, including food. So he's been vomiting and feeling sick overnight, and it was difficult for him to approach the toilet bowl because in the prison cell he expected that they would see, the prison wardens would see the way he feels and would call the doctor in. Unfortunately, it was ignored. He couldn't even raise his head. They said to him, just get dressed, you're going to be extradited today. So he said, you could see all night long as I was
feeling sick all night long. So what sort of extradition you're talking about? And they said, it doesn't concern us. Doesn't concern us anyway. You have to stand up and get ready for your extradition. They were the wardens, the prison wardens. They were just observing what was going on there, and but they didn't react properly to he was feeling sick. They dragged him out to the transport vehicle, which was to the bus for the transportation to the airport. Because he was very dirty, they didn't offer him a seat. They put him on the floor, the vehicle floor, facing down, and so that he couldn't, so that Mark couldn't even raise his hand. One of the witnesses, one of the security officers, even stepped on his head. And due to this dreadful situation, he even further suffered injury with his eye after medical surgery previously. I asked him to be allowed to sit down, to sit straight, and instead, even further pressed his foot and his head. Mark decided to read prayers aloud. And when they came to the airport, they brought him to a civilian room where they got what made him get undressed, but they made him naked. And they added a diaper. They gave him a diaper. They gave him some water and brought him back to the transportation vehicle in order to deliver him further to the airport. And he said, when he said, that is not right to do. The wardies responded that he is in a drunken condition, and well, Mark started asking for medical assistance or medical attention and a lawyer. So neither medical assistance nor legal assistance nor lawyer were provided to him, and so they brought him to the aircraft and they handcuffed him. They put cuffs on his hand and his feet, and he was expected to be transported by air in such a condition. So they didn't provide any further assistance. So the guy was suffering from a headache, and then he fainted, and he fainted for several times during that period. And once he was in the aircraft, he cannot remember what was there. And then he woke up in some basement, naked. So all the clothes he had on were cut into pieces, and his hands were all covered with in blood bumps. And it seemed that he got pressure on his eye, like somebody exerted pressure on his eye. And there was a place where only a table and he had to urinate and defecate where he could, and then remove the produce with his hand. So it's my impression to provide the Netherlands. That the Netherlands are doing all they could to show him up as a fully healthy person, and the Dutch side knows that well, that the guy is in very bad health condition, and they are trying to make the impression that Mark is fully healthy. So, okay, Mark is not trying to evade the dodge his obligations. He wants to close this case down. What we want is to free up Mark so that he has a chance to defend himself, because he doesn't acknowledge his guilt. And he wanted to come before the jury, but after the United States had a press conference, and where the journalists were asked to spread the information that the Netherlands have caught a famous computer hacker, a Ukrainian who created this malware called Dragon Stealer, and this computer program is acting against the American people. I have the necessary files from an American lawyer who I provided his expert appraisal, showing that this was one of the typical things they apply in the Netherlands. So to use a person incarcerated for the purpose of their own career development, and he will be able to publicize the relevant files.
I would like to ask a few questions so that you feel easier to answer them. I can see your emotional condition at the moment, so it's hard for you to express everything you want. Please tell us, what exactly is going on with the lawyers? Why would you need to, on your own, contact the relevant institutions in the Netherlands? What's the problem? Whom exactly did you contact in the Netherlands? Well, I was talking to the Minister of Justice, with the manager of the prison, and I write letters. I've been writing letters to them. I've been receiving replies from them, and I can see what the lawyer is now doing. The lawyer told me that they have limited rights to be in exchange of letters with the ministry. What they can what I can say, they're only letters, and what I want is to get the situation changed so that they open the access to the toilets for the guy. So just give them a chance to visit toilet. Come on. Tell us, please, whether you have contacted any institutions regarding Mark's case. Yeah, in Ukraine I did it. I contacted President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. I contacted the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and I got official replies from them. The official replies were sort of like leave me alone messages. And when I got familiar with the material, with the files on the case, if they got familiar with the files included in Mark's case, they would perhaps change their point of view on that. And I'm ready to cry out for accountability. And they've been replying to us that Mark is in a good health condition. In fact, he isn't. And they've been telling us that the Mark is now in a waiting line to attend medical institution, and then that's not true. And then was another letter from the manager or director of the prison, and
Він знаходиться зараз в вільному доступу до їда в нього не обмежена.
So the principal said that they have provided him with all necessary supplies, the food, medical assistance, whatever. That is not true. They are not letting the representative in. What I can say for sure is that Mark is now suffering. Indeed. I think that Mark might break down in the end. And I'm the opinion that he might end up in a legal outcome.
We had an address of the ambassador of Ukraine in the Netherlands, and he's in the know of the situation with Mark. Did you communicate with the ambassador, and what is your situation on that track? I communicated with the ambassador, and he wrote a letter to Mark, which was given to me later.
Свої свідчення, в яких умовах Марк в карцері знаходиться, а ці умови теж жахітні. Він сам бачив, він консул, не посол, консул, він бачив, в яких умовах перебуває Марк.
And we know in what conditions Mark is in.
Не знаю, що йому міністр це відповів. І все, більше інтерес до Марка вже пропав.
And so there is no now interest to Mark from the embassy. So I can't tell you really. To your invitation, the ambassador didn't react because he knew that this press conference would take place today, and probably he will see the stream and will care about the fate of a citizen of Ukraine who is in such a horrible situation in the Netherlands. Mrs. Salina, I'd like to specify the issue. You provided the right in press release to publish your phone number and your email in order that you can be addressed by the representatives of mass media, public, other institutions in order to get additional information after our press conference. Do you confirm such an opportunity for those who are present here and who could reach you out for more information about Mark Sokolovsky? Yes, I have a lot of docs, everything what is necessary, not only documents, but also the evidences that in the Netherlands presently there is such, I would say, a crime taking place. Miss Selena, you mentioned in general that the Dutch government in general. I would specify it more concretely. Maybe you mean certain official, because the government of the Netherlands is quite a broad notion. The Netherlands is a very nice country, people are very kind, but those officials who are committing on the example of case of Mark, I can tell you about these officials that they working out on the public, because how they communicate with the people, that these people just getting fake responses. It's not a jail, it is called. So it's the facility for rebringing up, for correction facility. So the attitude to Mark as to the animal, he's a very good guy. He speaks good English, so he can communicate with someone. I just imagine a person who would get into there with no language, because they are not given the interpreters. No interpreters in very respected courts also. Mark doesn't know until the end of his case what are the accusations, in fact. So the time is very limited, it's a few hours. Mark asks the ruling of court in native language, and he was refused only in Dutch, even until now. So one of the procedures on satisfaction also was not presented in native language. So because he has taken some literature in English and he is just reading these books in English. Because he wants to return back to Ukraine, and he wants to do something for Ukraine. And his potential are quite good, and he's a very good guy. So he could do a lot of things for Ukraine. He would make a sort of iron trench around Ukraine. He would reprogram the weapons that are shelling back. So I'm very sorry, I'm very pity that he's not just a criminal or a serial murderer. He is simple Ukrainian guy, and he is smart as well. Thank you so much. I think that it is sufficient. If there will be questions from journalists to you, representative of public, or the bodies of state power of Ukraine, to whom you address, Mark Sokolovsky addresses, we can be in connection on those contacts that are published in this press release, and it gives opportunity to support and good connection with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to express my standpoint according to this case. Miss Elena, I am advocate of Mark Sokolovsky. When there was opportunity to talk to him and to record the video with him, he could opportunity to sign the docs. He signed the agreement who gives me an opportunity to defend his rights as advocate. Presently, my access and Ms. Elena's access and other representatives' access and mass media is fully limited. We addressed before this press conference with request that Mark should be provided in his legal right to express his standpoint. We didn't receive any response.
Що мене особисто, як правозахисницю,
personally, as
зацікавило дуже сильно в цьому кейсі, в
advocate,
цій
I
ситуації,
was
в якій опинився Марк.
confused in this
Фактично,
situation
весь
of
цей час,
Mark's case.
з
In fact,
22-го року,
since
з моменту
2022,
його
from the
затримання
moment of
в
his
Нідерландах,
detention in the Netherlands,
до нього ставилися,
he was
як до речі.
actually the attitude to him was as to the thing, not as a human being.
Ніхто не цікавився його ситуацією,
Nobody
і
asked
що
about
він
his
сам може
position
сказати на
and what
свій
he can
захист.
tell in his defense.
Ми побачили
We
сотні
saw hundreds of
публікацій
publications
західних ЗМІ,
of Western mass media,
українських ЗМІ, які просто
Ukrainian mass
постили
media,
те, що
that been
перекладали з
posting
англійської
what
мови.
was translated from the
І
English.
жодний з цих
And
журналістів
none of those journalists
навіть не
even
спитав, а що насправді
didn't ask what
відбувається.
is taking place in fact.
Я хочу також
Also, I would
повідомити
like to
громадськість, повідомити журналістів, що
inform
в нас
journalists
на
and
руках
public that on our
є такі
hands
дуже цікаві
we
для
have
вас,
very
мають
interesting
бути
for you
цікаві
and
такі
should
документи,
be
які ми
the
отримали
documents
тут в
that
Україні
we
для
got in
Марка
Ukraine for Mark
Соколовського.
Sokolovsky.
Це є
This is
висновок
the conclusion
експертної
of the
комісії.
experts of
Це
expert
експерти в галузі
commission
права,
in
це
the area of
експерти в
law
галузі політології.
and politology.
Ви маєте змогу отримати
You have
доступ
an
до
opportunity
цього
to get access to
науково-правового
this
висновку,
scientific and
де
legal
чітко зазначено,
opinion where it
що
is clearly
насправді вони
stated
побачили в
what in fact
цій
they saw in
ситуації.
this case.
Вони виявили
They detected
політичні моменти,
political
пов'язані з
issues
справою
related
Марка
with the
Соколовського.
right of with the case of Mark
Тут чітко
Sokolovsky.
зазначено,
He clearly
чітко
noted
зафіксовано,
and fixed
що ситуація
that
Марка
the case of
Соколовського,
Mark
вона виникла
Sokolovsky
з
appeared
політичним контекстом.
with political
І дуже є
context.
велика небезпека,
And
що
there is a
справу
danger
Марка можуть
that the
використати
case of Mark can be
зараз
used now
під час
during
виборів Сполучених Штатів
the elections
використати не на
in
користь
United
України.
States and not in
Тому я
favor for
вважаю,
Ukraine.
що
So
є
I think that
безпосередній державний інтерес
there is
України,
the interest of Ukraine,
інтереси національної
direct interest,
безпеки
national
України в
security of
тому, щоб
Ukraine,
справа
in order
Марка
that the case of
все ж
Mark
таки стала предметом
should
вивчення
be
нашими
the
правоохоронними органами.
topic of learning of the
Служби
investigation
безпеки
by
України.
security services of
І ця
Ukraine,
справа
legal
стала
enforcement bodies, and
реальною
this
для
case should
України.
be real for Ukraine.
Наші експерти
Our
зазначають,
experts
що такі справи, що
note that
стосуються
such cases
кіберзлочинності,
related to cyber
вони мають
crimes,
універсальну
they have
юрисдикцію.
a universal
Що
jurisdiction,
це означає?
which
Що
means
кожна
that
країна,
each country
яка має доступ до
who has access to
інтернету,
internet
і до якої фактично
and
і
in
добрався
fact
цей кібервірус, а
to
Україна
reach
також
the
входить в такий
cybervirus,
перелік. І Нідерланди також. Має
God
всі
and
законні
Ukraine and the
повноваження для того,
Netherlands
щоб
has full
розібратися, що
competency
сталося.
to consider what happened,
Провести незалежне розслідування.
to perform independent
Міжнародне
investigation,
розслідування.
international investigation.
А коли ми чуємо,
When we
що з
hear
боку
that from a
обвинувачення
side of
Сполучених Штатів,
accusation from the yes,
від шановного
from
прокурора
esteemed
Міхаела Гальдо,
prosecutor Michael Galdo,
ми чуємо
we
обвинувачення
hear
в тому, що
accusation
мільйони людей
that
нібито
millions of people
постраждали
been
від
suffered
дій Марка
from
Соколовського, а
actions of
саме
Mark
він так
Sokolovsky,
зазначив.
which was noted
То
and
ми маємо
so.
побачити докази
We
того, що
should see the
відбувається.
evidences what is taking place.
Що мене особисто зачепило,
What personally touched
що
me,
жодних
that
експертних висновків,
none of expert opinions,
залучення фахівців у сфері
involvement
IT
of IT
для того,
experts
щоб
in
з'ясувати,
order
що
to
відбулося
justify
дійсно за цією справою,
what
чи
really
причетний
taken
взагалі
place,
до
or in
цієї справи
general
Марк.
Mark is
Ми ніде не
actually
можемо
related to this
побачити.
case, we can't see anything about it.
І це вже минуло 2
And
роки
this is 2 years past
з моменту,
from
коли
the time
Сполучені Штати
when US
обвинуватили Марка
accused Mark
Соколовського.
Sokolovsky.
Як адвокат можу зазначити,
As
що до
advocate,
цього
I can
часу
note that until
офіційне
now, the
обвинувачення
official accusation
Марку Соколовському не пред'явлено.
was not presented to Mark Sokolovsky,
Але для того, щоб
but in order
розпіарити
to get a
себе,
PR
для
company,
того, щоб скористатися
to launch a
якимись
PR
політичними дивідендами, я так це
company with the
рахую,
political dividends,
був створений такий сайт,
the website was created which directly accuses Mark Sokolovsky in inflicting harm to millions of people.
сайт є державним
And this is a state site in US.
Мене дуже цікавить позиція пана
I'm
Гальдо.
interested in standpoint of
Яким
Mr.
чином,
Galdo,
на підставі чого,
how come and on the
враховуючи
basis of
презумпцію
what,
невинуватості,
considering
можна от так
presumption,
легко зробити людину в
a
очах
person
міжнародної спільноти злочинцем.
in the eyes of international public may be made as criminal.
Чи це відповідає
Is it
хоча б юридичній етиці? Чи це
adequate to
відповідає вимогам
legal
справедливості?
ethics or requirements of justice?
Я вважаю, що це
I
є
think
прямим
that it's a
перевищенням
direct
повноважень.
overruling of powers.
Я вважаю, що
I
це є
think that
політичною
this is a
маніпуляцією.
political manipulation.
І що цей кейс
That this
може бути
case
використаний
may be used
проти України,
against Ukraine,
враховуючи те, що
considering
громадянина
the fact that
України
the citizen of Ukraine
зараз поза очі
now,
зробили
in
винним
extra format,
у завданні величезної
made
шкоди.
guilty in inflicting big harm.
Всі документи, я підкреслюю,
All the
будуть
documents
надані
will be
всім, хто
presented
зацікавлений.
to all interested parties.
Також у нас на руках є дуже
On our
цікавий
hands, we have
висновок
very interesting opinion
експертної групи
of
«Сова».
expert group
Це
OWL,
група, яка
Сова,
займається
who is
дослідженнями у
involved
нас
in
тут в Україні,
investigations in Ukraine
наявності ознак політичного переслідування
about features of political pursuit
в кримінальних кейсах.
in criminal cases.
Так ось експерти цієї
The
групи,
experts of this group,
яку очолює пан
which is headed
Михайло
by
Сава,
Michael
виявили
Sava,
дуже цікаві
they
такі
detected
от
very
речі.
interesting things, like
В інформаційному полі
in
після
information
виступу пана
field
Гальда
after speech of Mr. Galdo,
з'явилося безальтернативне приписування
non-alternative
Марку Соколовському
prescription to Mark Sokolovsky appeared
мережевих
of
псевдонимів людей, які займаються
networking
злочинною
pseudos
діяльністю
who are involved in
у
criminal
сфері комп'ютерних
activity
технологій.
in area of computer technologies.
І це створює у
And
громадській
this
думці
creates in
переконаність
public
його
opinion
виновності.
the assurance in his guiltiness.
Підкреслюю також, я цитую
I
зараз
emphasize,
висновок.
I am citing the opinion
Жоден інформаційний
None
матеріал
of
про
information
Марка
material
Соколовського
about Mark
не містить
Sokolovsky
результатів
doesn't
незалежної
contain
експертизи,
the opinion of
яка була
independent
би
expertise
виконана
that
на
could be
замовлення
performed
засобів масової
by the
інформації,
order of mass media
та яка б підтверджувала
and which
конкретизовані
would confirm
звинувачення,
specified accusations
висунуті на його адресу.
presented to him.
Ми тісно спілкуємося з
We are
нашим
communicating
колегою
with
з
our
Сполучених
colleague from the
Штатів.
United States.
Він ознайомився з тими
He
матеріалами, що стали
got
підставою
to know
до
the
запиту
materials
Сполучених
about
Штатів до
the
Нідерландів про екстрадицію Марка
request
Соколовського.
the request
Так
about
ось,
Mark Sokolovsky.
жодного експертного
So,
висновку,
None of the
жодних реальних
expert
доказів, які підтверджені
opinion,
експертним шляхом у справі
real
немає.
evidences are not in place in the case.
Тобто фактично
So in fact,
людину призначили
a person
винуватцем,
was appointed as a
коли не змогли знайти
criminal when they
реальних
couldn't find the
злочинців,
real criminals
які створили
who
цей
created
кібервірус.
this cyber virus.
Ще раз
Recon
повторюю,
Stealer.
що всі
Again, I repeat
документи,
that all the
вони
docs
є, вони
in
будуть
place.
викладені
They
на
will be
сайті Марка
placed at the
Соколовського.
mark of site
І
marksokolovsky.org.
крім того,
And
кожна
except
зацікавлена
that
особа
every
завжди
interested
може
party
отримати
may get
нашу пряму мову представників Марка
citations
Соколовського.
of representatives of Mark.
Я хочу скористатись нагодою і
I
на
may
цій
use this opportunity at
прес-конференції
this press conference
звернутися до Служби
to
безпеки
address to
України
SSU of Ukraine
з заявою про те,
with
що
the motion, that there are all the bases to initiate criminal proceedings, to justify what happened in reality. If you look closely to the documents that have been prepared by the representatives of US, it is noted there that on the territory of Ukraine, namely, this criminal activity took place, which was hampering and creating the danger for the United States, which is this is direct danger to us, which is for the well-being of Ukraine, considering that the US is our strategic partner. I don't want that what I said just now, that separate representative wrote of the Republican Party, circles of US would use it against Ukraine. Namely, on those would-be elections in US. So I call up SSU Ukraine to verify the circumstances, to involve into this case, and to defend national interests of Ukraine. Also, I confirm the desire of Mark to cooperate with SSU and Ministry of Defense of Ukraine in order to perform all necessary for cyber defense of Ukraine. As a head of charity fund, Movement for Victims' Rights of Russian Aggression, I would like to thank Mark Sokolovsky for the contribution he made into our activity when he had an opportunity freely communicating with us before he was incarcerated. We addressed to him as IT specialist with a request that he could help to perform a task, how to create for Ukraine the register of suffered at the aftermath of Russian aggression. We wanted to see his IT idea as specialist. He presented to us the deliberations. He designed a project which in future will help to fight the consequences of Russian aggression in Ukraine.
And there are a lot of things lying ahead of us to do for our state. That's why I am pleading to the Ukrainian media, the Ukrainian members of the general public, to provide support to Mike Sokolovsky, to be involved in the case of Mike Sokolovsky, and to work together to restore the justice. And this is not only for Mark, this is for the Ukraine per se, because it's not the right thing to accuse a Ukrainian citizen just because of that and then be using it against our state, against our nation. I thank you very much for being with us today. I thank you for showing your interest to our transmission, to our broadcast. And I also hope that we'll be staying in touch. And there are a lot of requests from members of the media who now are watching this live stream. Not all of them could make it to do it in person, but we can do it all through the internet. Now online, there are people who joined us to provide support, to show their support to Mike. They are heads of civil institutions or civil organizations involved in a joint work with Mark, who work with them as a volunteer. Well, we don't have much time now, so we're asking now whether they're online. Miss Olena Agafonova, are you online? Miss Agafonova, hello. Let's check. Hello, everyone. Let's check the sound and the quality. Okay. I just listened to the entire press conference that you've been broadcasting. It's hard to believe for me that how could it be that this is the 21st century now? We are heading for Europe. We are we are heading for the European standards in the legislative area, including the protection and defense of legal rights of a human being. And up until now, there are no accusation, no legally justified accusation. And this is a weird thing. I briefly put, I know Mark. I used to know Mark not only as a computer programmer, but as a volunteer. We were working jointly with the Mercy charity fund, involved in some a charity events or challenges we would face. I think that the Mercy charity fund was involved in extinguishing of fires that struck this area back in 2020. Well, a lot of hectares of forest surrounding some human settlements like small towns and villages were burned down, and this gentleman, Mark Sokolovsky, was providing a lot of support and assistance on a voluntary basis, and then under the back in the early stages of the war, while the area was shelled by the enemy, and there were a lot of help provided by the volunteer organizations, and there was the only way for us to survive thanks to the volunteer organizations I mentioned. And the only way for us to unite the efforts, join the efforts of charity funds, so that we provide help to Ukraine altogether. And the situation that has now been happening to Mark, because of that, we couldn't bring it to life. We couldn't make it real. It was our task to help the Ukrainian military to provide help to internal displaced persons. And it is our hope that the justice and the truth will prevail. I just beg your pardon for saying that in Russian, the truth. I hope that the truth shall prevail. And we hope that there will be a just solution to this problem. Well, if a person is found guilty and if the guilt is evidenced, then it's one thing, but there is no legal process, just torture, including physical torture. This is the wrong way. I still wish the mother of Mark to have enough strength to live through that, to survive this time of hardship. And the people, all those people, by this present, who are providing their help. On this case, I also hope that the entire community, we have a lot of pieces of fake information we could believe. And later on, we hope that there will be a fair journalist who will fairly write about the situation, all this terror or horror that is now taking place there. I thank you for your invitation. I really hope that there will be a positive outcome to this issue. Thank you. Thank you, Olena, for your support. Now.
Тоді зараз вас виведуть на екран, пане Олена, і ми будемо завершувати нашу прес-конференцію, тому що в нас є певний час, який нам надали. Вам надається можливість зараз звернутися до ЗМІ, до громадськості, до органів державної влади України.
Now we have a chance to contact the members of the general public of Ukraine and the government agencies of Ukraine. And we were inviting We have been inviting a big number of governmental institutions, the governmental agencies, the media members of the media, and members of special service of Ukraine to show that that all these capabilities I attributed to Mark, that they would be used to the benefit of of Ukraine. Now, okay, I cannot see you, but I can hear you. Okay, we have the visual. Just right back from the time the war started, Mark provided significant help to us. There were up to 70 people suffering from, or just hiding from shelling during those early days of the war. Mark would provide us with with food stuff, and there was the first case of dedicated help to people involved. Bear in mind the fact that there were children among those people back then, and this whole positive outcome happened due to Mark's efforts. I really want the world to see the truth and to get the guy back home. There was a dreadful shock. This illegal system in Europe has always been an example for us. Well, now, how can it be that a person is being incarcerated for such a has been incarcerated for such a long time? There were no evidence. There is no proofs against the person. 2 years. A citizen of Ukraine has been staying in incarceration without legal help, without legal assistance, and without proper legal assistance. And I do believe that the members of the public will know what's going on, and we hope that the justice shall prevail. Will prevail. And I hope that wrong things will just fall apart. I thank you very much for joining. Luckily, we were able to hear you and see you, and your opinion, who was in touch with Mark, who know him personally, shared her opinion on that. Olena, are you with us now? We are going to be finishing soon, and we are giving the final floor to you now, so that we complete this press conference for now. So I thank you very much to everyone. I thank everyone, those present here at the moment, and I would like to address the president. I'm appealing to the Ukrainian members of the public, I would like to make it possible for the independent investigation, which would finally bring Mark home. So Mark is not a cyber criminal. He is truly an expert in IT area, and he's an expert of a very high quality, of a very class. And he really wants to be useful. He really wants to be useful to help Ukraine, and he wants to go home or back to Ukraine. He never fled Ukraine. He's never fled Ukraine. And for me, as a mother, it is very a painful thing to read about these accusations. And I'm sorry, it's hard for me to be speaking now because I'm very much worried. So I hope that the guy comes back home, does his part to fight the aggressor country and become a very useful citizen of this country. And I thank you very much to everyone here present here for your involvement on the case where we have to face a situation we have never met before, we have never come across before. So I'm going to provide you with all the necessary evidence I have in my hands on the case. I thank very much everyone who was involved in this during this press conference, and we still have in touch. And this is a traditional call now, glory to Ukraine.